Lawyers. Sometimes you can't live with them, but certainly when it comes to a data breach, you can't live without them. Today we're going to speak about the role of the legal team in a data breach response. We're going to speak about three topics. What is the role of the legal team? The roles of the internal and the external counsel, and the importance of legal professional privilege. So what is the function of the legal team when it comes to a data breach? Their basic role is to perform all the acts that are associated with legal issues in responding to the data breach. The first part of this will be helping to identify the relevant facts that need to be gathered in order to make an assessment of the legal risks and legal actions that a business must take. That will include things such as the type of data involved, the location of the data, the volume of the data, the sensitivity of the data. All these kinds of things are things that the lawyers will need to know and want to know in order to make a legal assessment of the actions to take from that. Once those facts are established, then the lawyer's role will be to give legal advice in respect of the course of action to be taken. This will require both a regulatory analysis in terms of the notifications that need to be made to various parties, regulators, statutory bodies, and so forth, in respect of a security incident. But also it will require a level of review of contractual obligations, because frequently contracts will contain notification obligations in respect of serious incidents, such as a data breach. As well as that analysis, the lawyers will give advice in respect of the strategic response that should be made. Of course, a lawyer's primary role is to give a baseline of compliance, but the lawyer's role is so much more than that. Lawyers are an important advisor in terms of giving strategic and directional advice in respect of what a company should do, and the legal consequences that might flow from making an error of judgment, even though you may be fully compliant. Other important functions of the legal team will be to make sure that there is proper preservation of evidence gathered in the course of an investigation of a data breach, and making sure that there is a chain of custody in respect of anything that is done in inquiring into the cause, circumstance, and consequence of a security incident. Finally, and we'll touch on this later, an important role of the legal advisor, primarily the external legal advisor, is to make sure that legal professional privilege applies to all material documents and communications in the course of an investigation into a data breach. Now, I've already referred to the internal lawyer or in-house counsel and the external lawyer or outside counsel. What are their respective roles, and how do you go about the interplay between those roles? In-house counsel know the culture of the organization. They know how to find things and to get things done. In many ways, they are the driver of the legal train that is needed in order to bring the whole expedition and investigation to its conclusion. They are very much the internal driver force in respect of legal issues that need to be addressed within the company. External counsel, on the other hand, are almost like the conductors of an orchestra, where they're making sure that all the various factors and all the team members are acting in harmony, particularly in respect of external advisors or interactions with third parties outside the company. When you're looking to select external legal counsel, obviously you will want to use counsel who are familiar with your business, but also familiar and experienced in respect of these kinds of issues. You'll be looking for a law firm that is able to have a degree of international reach in terms of responding to data breach capabilities, either through offices of an international law firm or through network of specialist lawyers through other tech law associations. This is because the data breach notifications that may arise could arise in a number of different places. Data is international in nature and moves very rapidly these days. So a data breach and the response to it is very much a multi-jurisdictional issue. Let me say a few brief words about legal professional privilege and why it is important. Firstly, legal professional privilege. What is it? Well, there are two forms of legal professional privilege. There's legal advice privilege, which applies to all communications between a solicitor or a lawyer and his client in relation to legal advice that is given in a legal context. This is a situation where legal advice is the dominant purpose in respect of the communication in question. And in appropriate circumstances, that will apply to a chain of communication regardless of whether legal advice is specifically given in each item of communication. The second species of legal professional privilege is litigation privilege, which is advice or support that is given in contemplation of or for the dominant purpose of defending or bringing legal proceedings. The reason why legal professional privilege is important is that it can help to preserve the confidentiality of communications and documents that are obtained in the course or created in the course of an investigation into a data breach incident. That allows a full, frank, open assessment of those documents and information and the advice given on them in a situation where the business will want to have the benefit of that advice in order to know what it should do in the circumstances. This is not to say that it is a means of preventing the disclosure of information in appropriate circumstances, but it is a reality that what is disclosed in the course of litigation or in the course of any response to regulatory proceedings or in engagement with any third party can be seen through the specific lens of that inquiry, of those legal proceedings specifically, and in isolation from other things that may be happening. The way that you preserve legal professional privilege requires a number of things that are beyond the scope of this video. However, one of the things I would encourage is that the lawyers you intend to use as external counsel are known and instructed before an incident occurs. This allows a rapid response when a data breach occurs and the ability of that law firm to take the lead in engaging technical experts and other professionals that may be needed specifically as part of a closed set of incident response professionals that can then set up the communication channels governed by the law firm in question in a way that will help to secure the privileged nature of those communications. So when it comes to a data breach incident, yes, it can be an existential event for a business, but if you engage good counsel early and take the steps in relation to what is needed in performing the legal function in a data breach response, then you may well feel fine, even though it may appear to be the end of the world, and you can dust yourself down and get back into the race again.